the whole buzz experience or mouth, it was like a really big part of our trip. So,
You're doing great.
You're good.
I'm not.
3 for Jose. Ready? One big breath with Jose. Ready?
All right.
Good despacito.
Discussion's over with. All right. So, right there on the left, you see me using a leveler. I guess is that what it's called? Oh, eye level. There you go. And that was my first time using one, so it was a really cool experience. And right here on the right, you have a picture of the final project, and then those stairs were carved by Tomas and Jackson, which was really cool. And the digging crew was it was Janae, which is, she's in blue, and then you have Tomas holding the ruler, Nick, and Jack, and yeah, the only reason, never mind. That picture right there on the left just shows the first day we got there, and as David mentioned, that's where they kept their extra water. On the right, you have a picture of a lady trying to sell me like a bandana, I guess. I wasn't suckered into it though. She kept insisting though, but yeah, I just didn't want it. And then this picture on the left, I really like it. We were in, I think it was Chichicastenango, and we were waiting for our food. And like, it was taking forever, so our driver just decided, I don't know if he made up the game or what, but we had to like pass a candy over to the person next to us with a spoon in our mouth, as you can see, and whoever dropped it had to do like some ridiculous thing. And on the right, you have the traditional Mayan wedding. No, actually we went to the Mayan lady's house where they did like the traditional Mayan thing, and they actually showed us how they carried their stuff on their head. And I mean, I was really good at it because I have a bun, so they just like wrapped it around me, and I was able to like be all agile with it. So that was pretty cool. And then I just love this picture. I don't, this is one of my favorite pictures. It kind of shows like us as a group, minus Kelly and Carl. But I mean, I don't know. I just think it's an awesome picture. We were in Tick Holiday, and Kalika, she bought a. It was Natan's birthday when we were in Guatemala, so she bought a piñata for him, which is really cool. And then we have, yeah, overlooking Guatemala. I think it was a really nice view. And then Janae, she was about to eat a worm. It peed on her like 10 seconds after. Yeah, that's what we found when we were dating. And then right here on the right, you have Nathan and David, and there was actually a bat in there. It started flying. I was out of there like in 5 seconds. I was like, no. Brad mentioned rabies, and I was like, I'm not. And that was mine.
Hi, my name's Eric, and this is my photo journal. For me, going to Guatemala was a very different experience because I have never traveled outside the US before, and I took 1 semester of Spanish, so I definitely had some worries going to a new country, being pretty unfamiliar with the language, but flying in, I saw these vast landscapes that were much different than places I've been before, and it was really exciting. So for the project, I really enjoyed working with the community. As you can see, they're working alongside of us, digging the trenches and helping lay pipe, which made the project a lot more enjoyable. And I also got to practice my Spanish skills and work on communicating in nonverbal methods as well. On the left here, we're digging a trench to put in a pipe as a remote fill station for the water tanks that the groups put in last year for a rainwater catchment system. And as we were filling back in the trenches, the kid you can see in this picture, his name is Dylan, he was working with me, and he'd just like fill up the wheelbarrow by himself, and he'd like run it up this big hill, and like sometimes you get stuck, and be like, oh, do you want me to help you? And be like, oh, no, I got it. I'm like, okay. But they were really excited that we were there. That was nice to see. Another thing that I noticed that was a lot different than in the US was the agriculture. It seemed like almost every home in Volta Grande was attached to a farm. And at these farms, they grew their food, and they also grew flowers to sell in Antigua, because that was one of the fastest ways for them to get cash from their crops. And so I thought that was really interesting to see how they lived. This is just another picture of the vast landscapes there. And this was at the Volcán de Pacaya. Over on the bottom left is Volcán de Agua, which is the big one you can see in Antigua. And this is on the other side of that. So I kind of started to develop a better sense of our location, and then started to feel more connected with the area as I learned more about the geography and the people living there. In the far left, you can see, picture's kind of dark, but in the right, upper right, we got to have a traditional Mayan meal cooked by some of the Mayan women there, and that was a really special experience for me. It was surprisingly hard to make the tortillas. They let me like try and shape one, but it didn't turn out that great. But it tasted really good. In the bottom right is a picture of us with our homestay family. Here, we're just like sitting down playing video games, which was like kind of familiar in the US. So I was like, oh yeah, this is, but they didn't speak English they didn't really speak English at all. And so when Pablo wasn't there, he was the only Spanish speaker. I had to like try and communicate, and I could speak, I don't know, maybe about as well as their 2-year-old son. So it was fun though, because I could understand some phrases and connect with them. I also enjoyed seeing the old colonial architecture, and it was amazing to me how long these buildings survive and how well they were able to care for them, especially since it's in a really geologically, I guess, active area. So there's volcanoes surrounding the city, and they have earthquakes and stuff like that. But this city's been standing for a long time. And like the cobblestone streets, one day they were doing construction on it. They needed to fix their, I think it was a water pipe or something similar to that. And so in the US, when it's like, oh, we need to dig a trench, you just drive a big tractor in and just dig it out with like one person. But then one day I got up and I saw them like taking the cobblestones out by hand and then digging underneath it. I'm like, oh yeah, like that makes sense that they would do that here. I just like didn't think about that. But definitely a lot harder to do things like that. I really enjoyed the teamwork aspect of the trip. We were always working as a group, and this picture kind of shows how we'd always meet up together. This was in front of the school, and it was really nice. We'd go off to our separate homestays, but then we'd always come back together and discuss and plan together, which was really nice. So this is my last slide. It was in the rainforest, and for me, it kind of is a good picture for me to think back on the trip, because there was one moment when Jack and I were sitting on this dock, and we were locked out of the room, and we were waiting for someone to get back, and we were like, oh, we have nothing to do. And so we just kind of like reminisced about the trip for a bit, and that was really nice.
Hey, I'm Brandon Faria. I was the TA for this year's trip and went on the 2000